The key feature of this design is the presbytery is no longer going to be defined or experienced as a mandatory meeting, a place where I got to go and eat my broccoli, but a place where we are in a shared mission together. And so we will go to any lengths we possibly can to fulfill to make sure that we are fulfilling the faithfulness and fruitfulness and fellowship we're called to. As you get into the design, you're going to notice that one of the key features is that there was a new group called the Council that will function like a congregational session. We look at this group of people literally taking on the exact same kind of responsibilities that sessions take on in the life of the church. We want a group of people who are entrusted, set apart, who have been raised up as leaders in the life of our church. The kinds of people who we all acknowledge, we want them making wise decisions for us. We trust them to keep us on track and doing the things we need to do. You can immediately, when I say this, you know the people you're thinking of. Some of you are them. There's at least a couple of you who are thinking, that's probably where I'm supposed to serve. I care deeply about this presbytery, and I understand what it is to give this kind of leadership. And if you will do so and function this way, the presbytery can be more and more like a missional congregation. We can let people go into mission. We can let people experiment. We can let people love and care for each other. A ton of the business that we now do on the floor of presbytery through reports can all be done through trusted people who we know can make those decisions. We've already been doing this. Have you noticed how many things are passed on the consent docket and the omnibus motion? Have you noticed how many decisions we know are being handled well? And with good accountability and good fellowship, we can let those things be handled in the right place. The rest of us can spend the rest of our time working more and more in what we call informal and organic networking and partnership. Coming together in unofficial groups. Coming together because we share passion. Coming together like the people have come together around Africa and Kenya in our presbytery. Coming together and saying, we care about these things. We want to see more things happen. Anybody who wants to meet with us, come meet with us. And watch the people flock together and gather for as long as they're called to. And maybe out of that gathering, somebody else will find a new sense of calling or cause, and will call other people to that. And we'll have organic, informal networks and partners, circles, making it, reforming, coming together. We're not going to have committees where you have to, as many committees where you have to stay on them for 3 or 4 years. Come together, do the task God's called you to do, celebrate it, figure out what's next. That notion of informal and organic network and partnership, we believe will energize people in a world where more and more people want hands-on involvement. Do you know that there are tons of organizations today that are being driven by volunteers? They would be multi-million-dollar organizations. I'll give you one example. Wikipedia. Wikipedia is how many people here have ever searched for something on Wikipedia? See, look at that. Cool. Okay. It's an online encyclopedia. Anybody can go put any entry into Wikipedia. Oh my gosh, that thing's got to be ridiculous. It's got to be filled with errors. They've done a study. Do you know how many errors are on a typical entry in the Encyclopedia Britannica? The one that's done by all of the experts, the one that costs millions of dollars to do. Do you know how many errors are on that page by average? 2. Usually 2 errors. Do you know how many errors are on a Wikipedia entry? The one that's done by volunteers, by people who just are passionate about a topic, who work together and edit together, and who may never meet each other, but they care so deeply about a topic that they'll write in. You know how many errors are on those pages? 3. But it's free. And it engages millions of people who are passionate. Let me just ask you this question. Has anybody here ever made a Wikipedia entry? Emily, I had a feeling, I was looking at you, Emily. I figured Steve has. Look it. There were probably things you cared a lot about. You wanted to make sure that that entry was well done. You cared enough about it to get involved and do it. That's what we want to energize. More and more people who are personally getting engaged in the mission of Christ and saying, I want to be part of it. I want to make a difference in it. I sat here at the table with these friends who talked about 6 years of work and labor and prayer to be part of that New Hope Church. I had a hard time listening to worship because they were beaming next to me. the deep, compassionate conviction of having your hands in the middle of something that you get to be part of. That's the future and fuel of our presbytery.